Hello, we are here to see a demo and the use of the commercial painting database. This database is published by Database Solutions and it works with Sage estimating software, sometimes referred to as Timberline estimating software. You can see that we're in the quick takeoff section of the estimating software. The database is organized into groups. The groups are major types of work that you would want to be doing takeoff on. A little bit of general conditions, some equipment. For example, on the equipment you might have scissor lifts, either electric lifts or for gas or diesel lifts. So these are the line items for this type of work. Every one of these phases here has line items underneath it for the various types of items that we need to have to price out. Surface prep and wall setup, sanding, sandblasting, those types of issues that we have. Exterior walls, interior walls, stairwells, wall coverings, door, windows and trim, sealants, floors, steel and equipment, pipe, and duct. Now, we'll look at the interior walls and here at the gypsum wall board for latex. The interior walls are organized by different substrates. So you can see that we have gypsum wallboard, plaster walls, wood walls, block walls, and then concrete walls, all for interior. You can notice that there are different specifications of paint based upon the substrate that we're applying the paint to. So if we go to the gypsum wallboard latex and we open up the phase, these are the line items that are within the phase. You can see that we have different finishes, such as flat, eggshell, and semi-gloss. These different finishes will vary dependent upon the substrate and the type of paint that we're working with. Once we're within the finish, we can see that there's a roll section when you're going to roll the paint and a spray section when you're going to spray the paint. Once again, sometimes this will change. Sometimes you'll see a brush as an option in here also. Then it's broken down between the first coat, second coat, and third coat. This breakout allows us to set up and organize the man-hour productivity and the spread rate for each of these different types of finishes, different types of substrates, different types of application methods, and the different coat. If we go in and look at any one of these items, we can see that there's a labor cost and that there's a material cost. This is set up in the database. So we can see on this item for the labor cost, we're saying that there's a spread rate for labor of 300 square feet per man hour. The spread rate for the paint is you will get 350 square foot per gallon. You can change this on a per estimate basis, and we'll show you that very quickly. There's also the pricing of the labor cost per man hour and of the paint. Notice that these numbers will vary dependent upon which items we are in. This is how we can control the man hours and the gallons of paint that you would like to have. Now, at the very basic level of the estimating software, we would find the items that we would like to have, and I'm just going to highlight two of them, and we would drop and drag them out of the database here and into our estimate over here. Once they're in the estimate, we can quantify how many square feet there is, and notice that the color changes and these items are priced out based upon the pricing that came out from the database. I've opened up the detail window so we can see everything, but you can also see it right here on the spreadsheet. All of these numbers can change. If you feel you can get a little bit better productivity on certain jobs and maybe a little bit worse spread rate, you can revise them. The math is extended based upon these changes of these rates. If you would like to have a different dollar value per man hour, you can change that. Notice it's going to ask us, do you want us to change the other one also? It doesn't matter if you have two items, 200 or 2,000, it will change them all whenever you change any one. The same thing for the material price for the paint. If we change the material price for the paint, it will ask us if you want to change that. Now the paint is set up by the spec, latex, urethane, that type of thing. Now, even though we can be in the database and pull items over into the estimate by one, what we really want and have prepared for everyone is assemblies. What the assemblies do is they allow us to put all kinds of like things together. So staying on the theme of interior walls, I can come into an assembly for interior walls. Notice that we're saying it's interior walls, gypsum wall boards, plaster, wood walls, block walls, concrete walls. We're going to stick with gypsum wallboard, probably the most popular thing that people will paint. We'll say we're going to be using some latex paint. The items have come in down here. We answer some questions up here. How are we going to take it off? Length times width or length times height? I'll input a 1. We want to say we got 1,920 feet of wall. The wall is 8.5 foot high. What is our primer method? Roller or spray? I'll answer we'll spray this. How many finish coats? We're allowed up to 3. 2 is going to be the normal. Latex finish, flat, eggshell, or semi-gloss. We'll say it's eggshell. Coat 1, how are we going to get it applied? Roller or spray? We're going to spray the first coat, roll the second coat. This final item is man hours for setup at obstacles, such as if you've got to go around lamp fixtures or electrical boxes or any kind of issue that you need to spend some time to work around. It just allows you to put in so many man hours of work to do that. When I hit enter or hit this plus sign right here, these items have been taken off in the quantities that we need to have. So there's so many square feet for the prime coat, so many square feet for the first coat, so many square feet for the second coat. The sanding is after the prime coat, after the first coat, so it's doubled. The coverage is just a value for protection of areas, and there's that 1.25 man hours that we have. So the process of the takeoff has gotten a lot more interesting. We have all these assemblies for all the various kinds of situations that you would like to have. Now, assemblies can even include things for like steel. We have steel channel, W-flange, beams, angles, pipe, rectangular, square tube, and such. I'll use W-flange beams as a sample. We can come in and say, we have 25 beams, they're all 18 foot long, there's a W size. If I say W14, look at this next variable. It says, here are the weights for W14. But if I go back up and say, nope, it was a W12 instead, notice the next variable now changes. It says, oh, here's the weights for W12. I'm going to say we have a W12 by 65 and continue on answering the questions of the variables. What's our perimeter of the W flange? Is it minus one side, like it's up against the wall? Or is it all sides, the whole perimeter? I'm going to say it's the entire perimeter. What's our primer? I'll say we're going to have a DTM primer. What's our primer method? Spray, roll, or brush? We're going to roll all these. What's our height above finish for? This will give us some extra dollars if we want for high work that's going to be occurring. Number of finish coats, we'll say there's 2. Now it wants to know what steel paint we have. Dry fall, DTM, or industrial enamel. We'll say it's DTM, and we're going to put on semi-gloss, and it's going to be rolled. And we have additional items here: man hours for coverage, man hours for stair setup, man hours for staging setup, man hours for a lift setup, or man hours for a tender. I'm going to say we have 4 man hours for a tender, and then there's 3.5 man hours for a lift setup and breakdown. I hit plus. These items have been taken off. We click OK, and this information comes back over into our estimate. Now, we have the ability in the database to break apart the job by the building, by the floor, by the room, or by the area. And you can add additional, these are called WBS codes, you can add additional WBS codes if you like. Now, to show you an estimate in which we have done this, I'll go to an estimate that has already been done, and that is this one right here. It's a sample I prepared. Here are all the items that have been taken off for this small little project. However, if I look at this by the location and then the area, notice that this whole screen will flip around. Here we're saying, here's the exterior work, here's the interior work. Here's the area for the block walls, for the trim. Here's the area on the interior for the mechanical room, the offices, and the rooms. We're looking at this in a detailed way. If I click the collapse button right here, notice that everything drops. We're getting our man hours, our labor cost, our material cost. If we go over to the right a little bit more, there's our total cost. We can look at this in another way, by the location and then by the floor and then by the area. If I look at it this way, notice, I'm going to collapse it once. Notice that it's saying, collapse it twice. We got the exterior wall, it's all on the exterior. On the interior, we got the first floor, we got the second floor. If I would like to drill deeper down into the first floor, I open it up. I would like to go into the offices, I can open that up. Here's all the work that's at the offices. Go into the rooms, here's all the work that's in the rooms. You can just double click on these items and it will collapse everything for you. We can go and look at the second floor. Here are the rooms that are on the second floor. Now, one of the tricks of Timberline, and this is not anything to do with the database, but with Timberline Extended, you can highlight this line item right here, hit Move Copy, and we can say we would like to copy this work, and all of this will apply to floor 3. And I have just replicated all of this work for the third floor. Because I know that in this case, the second floor and the third floor is exactly the same. I don't need to do my takeoff all over again. To arrive at the final price, we go to the totals page. The totals page is where all of the dollar values from the spreadsheet have been accumulated. So we have so much labor cost, so much material cost, and then we bring in what are called markups or add-ons. Sales tax, and you can see right over here the percentage of all of these issues. Sales tax at 5%, labor productivity adjustment, on-productive time, sundries by percent of labor, office overhead, profit on labor only, profit on material only. So in this case, we're saying 12% profit on labor, 8% profit on material. Either of these numbers can be changed. I can come in and say, we're going to go with 10 and 6, or I can come over here and say, it's just going to be $9,500 that we would like to have on this project. There's going to be other additional videos on how the painting database and Sage Estimating will interface with PlanSwift and on-screen takeoff. However, this is the painting database and how it will work for you to greatly increase your productivity and lessen the time that you spend doing your takeoff. If you have any questions, please contact us. Look at the information that follows. Thank you very much.